Hello, all. Welcome back to Melanin Madam. I'm having a little feedback. There, it's gone. Perfect. So, welcome back. Tonight we have our co-host and our fan fave, and then hopefully we have good guests to join us for tonight's topic. So, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and make sure that you can share, but I prefer you actually comment because I love you guys' comments. So let's get started. Before we do, we'll have everybody introduce themselves and then we will start. Tonight's content is adult content. I won't be filtering myself. I am drinking and I don't feel like it. Actually, this is going to be the topic for the rest of the year. So we're going to hit on different points of this topic. It's actually the topic for the rest of the year. So get ready, strap on your seatbelt, and let's go.
Damn,
Co-host.
she said for the year. Yo, what's up, y'all? She just fucked me up when she said for the year. Topic for the year. All right, what's up, y'all? Y'all know who it is. I'm back again. I'm actually high as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready to get on this level with Miss Madam and my guy JoJo.
Everybody, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone can hear me. I'm JoJo Habanero. I don't know. I don't know what to say today. I'm a little shy. JoJo Habanero, ITPM by day, superhero by night. And check me out on the socials of Once a Noble Lifestyle for all your cigar needs.
Awesome. So since JoJo was nervous, let's go ahead and light an incense at the beginning. See, I normally do this somewhere in the middle. Let's see. Everybody say a prayer. Just kidding. So for tonight's topic, it is actually going to be on lifestyle. And so what I am going to do first, let's load it. Let's see. Actually, does anybody know what that is? Who wants to give a description? Did you guys do your homework? Okay, so you did. Okay, so let's see. Lifestyle is actually, so this is the rules. This is what it's supposed to be. And let me just say, some of this shit is rich people shit. And let me tell you why, or well-to-do at least. Hey, twin, because this is what it's supposed to be, right? So it's supposed to be that there is a couple. It didn't say married or relationship, but there is supposed to be a couple. And this couple has the privilege to explore different sexual needs and desires. And it's supposed to be inclusive of a safe space. There is also not supposed to be single men in this space, but there can be single women. And the single women deal within certain parameters. The single woman is called the unicorn. So the couple typically picks the unicorn. They invite them into this space and they tell them what they want. So they set all the limits. It's agreed upon between the couple. It's not a mechanism to use for cheating. It's not a mechanism to use for outside communication. It's supposed to stay in this space and you go and live it however you want. Today, what I looked up, it's a whole damn cruise. So y'all, we've been on cruise boats and not even knew that half the damn boat was booked with some freaky shit. I'm just saying, you think, oh, that's cute. They handing business cards. No, the card actually says what their wants and desires are and how to connect it with their room number is and stuff like this. Yeah. So, right. So at the highest form, it's extremely structured. Let me tell you what I didn't do. I didn't watch no black people shit. Let me tell you why. Okay. Because we be fucking up. That's why. I watched it from, it was a Caucasian lady, and then the person that was talking was masked, right? So that's where I found out this information. And it's a space that you're invited to. So it's not something that you typically just Google and it's out there. Here's why, before we get into my questions. Here's why this space is supposed to be confined. I don't know if y'all know, but celebrities got dungeons. Celebrities got houses that they go to do these same things. And it's a guard there. It's walls behind the wall. You got to be invited. It's no phones, none of that stuff in this space. Each room is set up according to a fetish. You have to ask permission, which was my favorite piece. You have to ask permission. Everybody there doesn't play the same way. So it could be a couple. This one was mine. So tonight we're talking about exhibition. You can go and it could just be you and your partner enjoying the pleasure of what I like to call live porn. Or it could be that you don't mind being watched. That's something that turns you on, but you technically never touch another person. So it could be something like that, all the way up to you ask permission to exchange couples and do all this other shit. But what I love most is that both partners have to agree. So it's more controlled, it's more respectful, there's more conversation. Hey, do y'all think if things was handled more maturely in that fashion that people could actually explore their fetishes and their fantasies?
Absolutely.
No, no, because a lot of it, in my opinion, is predicated on self-control. I don't know a lot of people who have that. A lot of discipline, and then a lot of communication. Plus, the boundaries have to be set on the onset of everything.
So again, if it's in a controlled environment is controlled. There are boundaries.
Yeah. But what I guess the way I was trying to describe it is, you know, you set the boundaries, you go in, and then it ends up being more than you can handle. So I've been in these spaces, the way you call it. I've been in them, and you know, sometimes it can be overwhelming if it's a couple, male, female. You walk in, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. The female thought she could handle the sight of seeing her male partner having all this attention. Sometimes the male thought he could handle the sight of seeing his woman being touched by another man. You said earlier, usually single male are not invited. Some are, but it's a very select group, usually less than half a dozen, no more than that, where that can come. So I've been invited in spaces like that as a single male, and you have to be able to handle these things. So sometimes the boundaries are set on the onset of things, but then once you walk in, the things you thought you could handle, you could not. So it's a constant negotiation. But the spirit of it, the essence of it, yes, is where in a controlled environment, people who come together agree that they get to explore different things about themselves, either collectively together or individually, and each party needs to be okay with that until not now. Yes, when a couple finds a single female, the woman is referred to as a unicorn. You said earlier the boundaries are set between the couple, but it has to be with the input of the unicorn as well. Obviously, even if she comes in typically as a submissive to the male and female, obviously she has a say-so in how things go.
Yeah, she has a say-so to reject, but I'm going to tell you as a wife, you don't have a say-so. This is why I say you don't have a say-so, right? Because at a job, you could tell them what you like, and then you can negotiate. But at the end of the day, my boundaries are the one that matter the most, and my husband. That should be a boundary that's set from the beginning, because I'm never going to waver for somebody I don't know. That doesn't even make any sense. And I think that's where sometimes the space gets muddy too, is because that should be something that's set from the beginning. Like if I have a hard stop, right? So for me, anal is a hard stop. If you come to me and ask me about that, I'm automatically going to shut down because I feel like you disrespected me. I already told you that's a hard stop. The same as if my wildest dream was to see you get pegged and you tell me that it's not. But if that's what it was, because that's the extremity for a woman, nothing belongs back there. So the same way you could say that to a woman, she could say it to you. I'm just saying, if we, you know, men always talking about explore, do all this shit. If she tell you to do some weird shit and you looking at her like, how dare you? But when she looked at you like, how dare you? You was like, oh, you just cut. Why you don't everybody else do it? You get what I'm saying? So that's why I say in that space, you find the perfect match or a good match for what you want. But at the end of the day, the couple's instances don't waver. Here's the reason why I said boundaries as well. So I watched a bunch of lives today and podcasts and things like that. Most people were masked, and by mask, I mean like you could hear their voice, but you could not see their face. The reason why is because you have to think some of these people are prominent principals and teachers and all of these things, and you want the freedom. Melanin Madam is based on just getting to be Asian, right? So there are even limits that I could do with that because my face is exposed and I have a nonprofit, I have all these things. So in that particular space, like you said, you want pay to go into that space. It should be where you don't have to worry about certain things. And honestly, quite honestly, if I were ever going to try one, it wouldn't be one in LA. It wouldn't be one with people that I could run into that look like me. It would actually be with more Caucasian people because they have more sense. They have more sense because I think that our brains are wired different, right? So much things we don't have. So when we do get something, we overdo it. And then for them, they're born into comfort and the ability to live free. We don't exactly have that all the time. So that space can get abused, especially with, like you said, discipline. And I think that I did my research too, and more of the like the Facebook groups and things like that I saw, it just looked like a big orgy to me. It looked like a bunch of people that couldn't get it otherwise. And so you go into this space and you make excuses in this space. That's not a controlled environment to me. I heard it's all kind of drama that happens, people running in and seeing that their man is there or their girl is there, and you didn't get permission for that. So it's even cheating in that space. And to me, if you're going to do something, do it the right way or don't do it. And it just doesn't make sense to me. But let me tell you. So the woman also said, now this is what she said, not what I said. Okay. In this particular space, she was okay with seeing her man be with somebody. He was looking at her more. So it's not always that a woman walks into these environments. There are a lot of dominant women that play submissive, because the thing is with the mind, men, once y'all see us a certain way, you won't unsee us that way. Y'all could do a bunch of shit to us and we'll still call you king. So a lot of women will be more reserved and won't even initiate certain things, because once it's out, like if the man says no or whatever, now his brain is just gonna keep going. And that came up. So do you guys think that there are couples that tried this space that did it the right way and don't like it? Let me tell you what I mean by the right way. So the woman said that they talked about it first, did their research, decided how they wanted to go in and look around first. The first time they weren't going to do anything because they wanted to like take in being there, take in what was actually happening. Because you could talk about something, but then once you're there, to your point, JoJo, it could change. You could totally shut down or be more free. But that was the agreement. So they ended up actually picking one of the rooms and going in, and they in turn found out that they were being watched. So that's how that happened. But it was like baby steps. It wasn't a jump all in. I think people get too excited and jump all into things.
Facts. Big facts. Getting excited and jumping all into something without thinking first and foremost is a mistake. You know, you definitely want to think about what you're about to do and what you're really about to get into, rather than just jumping in blindly with anything. I mean, that's the rule of thumb across the board. You don't jump in a business opportunity blindly without doing your research and discussing things with your spouse at that. You know, you're not going to do a new business without discussing it with your spouse. You're not going to do a new anything. So, you know, with this type of situation where, like JoJo said, it could get tricky because certain things could happen. I mean, also you got to remember, I'm sure people aren't sober while they're.
I was just thinking that.
You know what I'm saying? You got people that's not just drinking; they doing probably hardcore drugs and ecstasy stuff to make you have a good time, but certain things that are going to alter your natural mind. So, you know, it could get tricky, you know, with those factors factoring in. So, as long as you guys have a plan and communicate before, and really set out to do what you guys set out to do, stick to the plan, I think it could be a safe space for people to do. Now, obviously, it's not for everybody. Everybody don't want to explore. Everybody is cool with just having a traditional marriage relationship. Me and you, we doing our thing. Ain't no fetishes, ain't no fantasies, none of that shit. But for
No
those
fetishes or no fantasies?
I mean, there's some people that are like that, plain
Really?
James, that just want to do okay, we go to sleep. You got, and that's
Oh.
cool. I'm not knocking nobody for that.
No,
I'm
not knocking it at all.
So, but there's people that do want to explore and want to do some different shit and want to spice up shit. And I think, like you said, that's a safe, that could be a safe space for you to spice up some shit. You know what I'm saying?
So that's a good point. So the first time this particular couple, that was my favorite couple, went, they did have a couple of drinks, which led them to be able to even have sex in a I guess you could still call that public space. But you're right. I would think that if I'm like easing into it, why would you take something that could impact you sexually? Because you still got to walk out the room. You still got to go out. And that actually came up, and that'll come later in the conversation. But JoJo, do you think that, same question for you?
Yeah, you would definitely have to be able to establish some kind of boundaries going in. People will have to understand what's going on. The only pushback I would have is,
okay,
if there is any kind of hierarchy established, I guess it's understood the relationship is prioritized, so that if that intimate exchange with whatever is going on, that takes a lesser role to the primary relationship. In that sense, I can understand how, the primary couple, male or female, can exert some kind of dominance or control or so on and so forth. But you're right, yeah. The all in all, the boundaries have to be established coming in. Doing it the right way, doing it the wrong way. Obviously, there is a right way to do it. At the core, maybe at the edges, maybe there's some things that can be negotiated. But yes, the right way to do it will be where both male and female, or both partners going into that environment, understand very clearly what they're going into, accepting the changes when the changes do appear, and adjusting on the fly, but always keeping communication between the both of them. The most important thing is to make sure both parties are comfortable. Obviously, if someone is not comfortable, we'll have to find a way. Either we both stop, or one is okay with one doing he or her own thing, and then the other part. There are some couples like that who are monogamous on one side and non-monogamous on the other side, closed on one end, open on the other. Very few, is not a whole lot. Usually is either open on both sides or closed for everybody. So yeah, there has to be a clear understanding of what you guys expect of each other and expect of the experience going in.
Okay. So one of the other things that the ladies talked about, and some of the husbands in this particular space for a lifestyle, it like includes everything. And so on the particular cruise ship, there were other couples. So they was with another couple. And so the interviewer asked, like, cabin rooms is small. Like, how did you do that and make sure that you had enough space not to touch, right? Because some men could be funny about, any type of flesh being touched or whatever, even if it's not sexual. So she said they like started out with the husband and the girl on the balcony, and then her and the guy was inside. And then eventually they both ended up on the twin bed. And like at one point, the husband and, well, they were each husband and wife. The primary one that I know of was holding hands or whatever. But in the moment, which is what we know about sex, in the moment, you make decisions you might not have made. Under the influence, you make decisions you might not have made. But the next day, the interview was asking, like, when you got out of the cabin and now you have to finish the rest of the cruise because their interaction happened the first day, like, did y'all hook back up? Like, how was it? And she was like, it almost felt to me like the first time you have sex with somebody and then the next day you wondering like how they received you. Were you good enough? And all of those things. But in this space, again, when it's done the quote unquote right way, there is no interaction up on that level outside of that space. And so she felt weird. Like the whole rest of the cruise, she felt weird, and they didn't have another interaction. Do you think that in that space you can also develop like, what is it called? Like
Emotions.
like an emotional attachment to another couple where it prohibits
Yeah.
you from the experience?
Yeah. Actually, that actually happened to me. So
Okay.
I left the lifestyle and moved on to something else. But me being in the lifestyle, I did realize something about myself. So those instances happen. And again, when you walk into a situation like that, the understanding is we're just having fun for the time that we're there. Once we leave, we're not buddy buddies. I don't know you, you don't know me,
Oh,
I'm on
right.
to something else. I'm done, we're done, I don't know you. That actually happened to me. Bumped into someone I saw in a lifestyle, bumped into them at the grocery store, and I tried to be polite. My intention was to be polite and say hi, but
Okay.
I was immediately dismissed. And I can't stand that. I don't like
Like dismiss, like how they didn't even speak back?
they didn't even acknowledge me, as if
That's
they
not
never
normal
knew
behavior
me
though. Okay.
from anywhere. I mean, again, even if it's just a hi,
Right.
maybe they were with their partners, maybe they were with their children, I don't know, but some type of, and I understand you don't want to mix the things. I didn't know these rules,
But you
so
would
I
speak
didn't know.
normally, right?
But I would just be, my intention was to be polite, not to strike a conversation, not to, hey, what's going on? Give me your number. Let me see you later on. No, I wasn't going to do any of that. Perhaps they assumed that that's something that
Oh, okay.
happens, and they just didn't want to. Like I said, in an environment like that, all you want to do is engage for the time being in that place. And once you're out of there, you're done. Like you said earlier, a lot of people don't want to mix that with the regular life they have going on because of how it can impact them.
Right.
But I didn't like that. I didn't like the
Right.
fact that I just got done, we just got done, doing whatever we were doing,
Crewing
and then
like
and then
Braddock.
I see you either later on that day or somewhere outside that environment, and we gotta act as though I don't know. Again, some people can handle it. I'm so friendly. I would prefer not to. So I did that for some time, and I really didn't like it. I actually did not like it at all. You can develop attachment, you can develop feelings, or you can wonder, well, if this person is not speaking to me, is this something I did, or? But it just so happened that they have to. You just have to remember, a lot of people are there disconnecting themselves from all kinds of
Real life,
emotional
right.
attachment
Ah,
and they're
that's
imagine
a good
going
one.
somewhere to just eat, and you just get out of there and then you're done. You don't have to know the chef, you don't have to be friendly with the server. You just got your
Right.
plate, and then you left. Similar to that, you just went and got what you needed to get, and then you leave. But some people can handle that, some don't, and that can happen.
Right. I didn't even think about that part. Okay. I made note. That was a great part, great point. I think that to me more that's interesting that would happen because in a normal I see people on speak all the time. To me, that would kind of be weird if I was with my partner or anybody for that matter, and somebody speaks to you and you don't speak back. That's going to be more of a red flag. Like, are you good? Why are you not speaking? It causes more trauma. But again, I guess it could have been traumatizing to the person. Oh, wow. Um, okay. So, do either one of y'all have questions? Because y'all could ask questions, too. Run your whole co-host. I don't want to take over. You might have manly questions.
No, I want to know where is this place taking place at? Like,
Oh,
All over.
I'm just asking for friends.
Like different places.
For our
So
viewers,
on
like,
this one, it was a cruise.
okay.
So I saw a cruise, It's actually dating apps for it. That's how they partner with couples to be mentored. Like locations. So like I know that in Eastvale, there's a swingers place. I know that in Devore, there's a swingers place. I know that there's a couple in LA out here. They're all over the place in Arizona. Those are the only ones I know about here. But it's by special invite, right, JoJo?
Special invite, but there are places online that you can go and find that information. But once you do, those clubs, those groups, they're very private. And so usually there's some type of screening, some type of screen, especially for single men. You know, you will have to send in your pictures of yourself, pictures of the partner. If you're coming in with someone, there's a fee to pay, either an annual fee or a fee for the event. Some event have secret locations, so you all meet up at one place, and then from that place you get bussed somewhere else. Some of these places are mobile. Some of these places are very, very exclusive, so it's memberships, you know, 5,000 and up, 10,000 and up, 50,000 and
And
up.
STD tests, right? Like
Yeah,
recent ones and stuff.
screenings and so on and so forth. All kinds of different screenings. Those things take place. But yeah, I came to it online. I found it online. But
Oh,
yeah, once you do, yeah, I was able to find some places online. But again, once you do, there's still all those things that have to
steps
go
to
into
follow.
place for you to be be able to be invited. There's a ranch in San Bernardino, closed for a little bit. They just reopened, and so those places, like I said, it's a screening, then a membership, and so on and so forth. But they're very exclusive. But you can find them online. You can.
So that is a great question because it's a segue into the video that I have about how one of the ladies stumbled into this information. So listen to this. Ready? 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 Here we go.
We have a very good marriage, and actually my introduction to the lifestyle happened before I even met Jay. We ended up having a one-night stand. I knew he was married, so it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I was a 20-something-year-old, and we both lived in different states, so it didn't seem to have a lot of consequences. Apparently, he went home and felt really guilty and told his wife about it. Instead of her wanting to kill him and me, which was a possibility, she confessed to him that she thought the marriage had been stale and she wasn't happy about the way he did it, but glad that he came to her. He reached out to me and invited me to be their unicorn, which was interesting. And so unicorn is, you know, a single woman that joins a couple. Was not interested in joining them and was really pretty taken aback by the whole idea.
How dare you?
Yes, it was. I wasn't mad. I was just shocked more.
Were you shocked because she was okay with it? Because I mean, you were okay with cheating.
So Ron, we have to ask, did you see it?
I did. I finally saw it. You saw my reaction. I'm like, I could see it. Like, oh shit. Like, oh, I could see it.
So happy you saw it. Because I'm like thinking the whole time, how am I going to explain this?
No, I saw it, and let me comment first because you know.
Yes. Yeah. Go right ahead.
So damn. Okay, that is crazy because
right.
First of all, that you know he did the common thing of cheating, and he went back and told his wife he felt guilty. Like he fessed up to it. Like, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna tell her. Fuck it. You know,
I love it.
It's hard to look somebody in the face every day knowing you on some bullshit, like every night and every morning. Like, you really got to look at them knowing you on some bullshit. So, you know, I commend him for that. But, you know, she ended up really saying that, you know what, this is what was needed. You know what I'm saying? We got to do something to spice it up. So, you know, maybe it didn't work for that woman, but it kind of unlocked something in their marriage that could kind of keep their marriage going. Because like I said, I don't judge if she's down with that, if she's really cool with that on the inside and that's what they want, like, by all means, do what makes your marriage work. Everybody's marriage will not be the same.
Yep.
Everybody traditional, fuck all that traditional shit. Everybody don't have to have the same rules of their marriage. Everybody don't have to do the same things in their marriage. Whatever works and makes you and your partner stay together, keep that family together, and keep it love and happiness, by all means do it. So I commend her too for, like old lady said, not wanting to kill them both, and really looked at it as a blessing in disguise. Like, you know what? She may not be down, but we gonna find us a motherfucking unicorn. So
I love it. So I super loved it because, number one, it's always nice to hear that. That's why I think podcasts and things are wonderful, because they're real people sharing their real stories, right? I like the ones that are not gurus. We just sharing our life. Here's the reason why. I literally just said most women would be interested in trying other things, but the man is the lead. You can say that you want your woman to be assertive and all of those things, but it's just certain things. And sex is at the very top of the list of, if it's too far out of the box, a woman's not going to bring it up, because again, once you see her a certain way, then you're not going to unsee her that way. And now that causes a problem. Whereas, look at what happened. He cheated. She didn't cuss him out, go off, do all that. She was like, oh, I'm glad this happened. Okay, so since it happened, then let's do X, Y, and Z. That is completely different. It's actually the outcome that typically would happen most of the time. No, nobody wants their partner or anything to cheat. And Ron may have had to drop off and go get my niece. It's typically not the response that you want, but in all adult things, if you make a decision and it's wrong, it's better to try to fix it and have that discussion, because needs change. And if they change, there's nothing you could do but talk about it, and hopefully you can come to a common ground. But in that case, they did, and they were interested in being swingers, and it worked for them. Now, the unicorn wasn't happy about it, but that offer was still made to her, because I'm pretty sure the woman was like, well, you already slept with her. It's easier than bringing in a whole new person or whatever. But I think those conversations should happen. Things could change. And what exactly is traditional? Do you really think pastors is just having missionary sex? I don't know.
Well, switching up from missionary to backdoor is not the same as introducing someone in your bedroom. I agree that in marriages, people should do whatever it is they feel works for them. I don't know that a lot of men feel that they have the safety to be able to come forward to their women with some of the things that, again, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I don't think that a lot of men feel that they can have the safety, the emotional safety, sometimes physical safety, of coming up to their partners and telling them, hey, you know, you've been serving this gumbo one way for the last 10, 15 years. I kind of feel for something else a little bit.
But like, what are the top, maybe 3 things that a man you don't think a man would be comfortable telling his woman that he wanted? Like, what are 3?
To be able to tell someone like, hey, you know, I love you emotionally, but and sexually too, but something in us that sometimes wants the variety. And I'm not saying women don't feel that, but I don't know if it's in the same way, in the same frequency, in the same intensity as men do. And what we do, men, is once we saw 1 or 2 examples of how someone may have tried to do it, and the reactions they got, or we gauge how our woman would react based on other situations that we felt, if we came up to her, how would she react? And what we do is we assume from that point that that's how she's going to be with everything, and we just shut down and we don't say anything at all.
Okay. So that falls in line with why women don't come forward. Because like you said, if you see one example of something or a couple and you think a certain way, a man's brain stays that way. So either you can be brave enough to trust your partner to explore these things. And I hate to say it, but this is why I believe we are supposed to be married. Because if you are married under the covering of your marriage, you should have full trust to be able to say what your needs and desires are, even if you take it slow, right? So you do a couple of test things. You don't just throw everything on her all at once, nor should a woman throw everything all on their husband at once. Um, because in some way, a lot of what a married couple, a couple that's been together for a long time, is familiarity, is safety, is all of those things. So to jump to something completely different, it kind of takes you back and makes you start thinking, wait, I wasn't doing it good enough. Why are they thinking that? Are they looking at somebody? Your brain goes somewhere else, right? When you jump from one extreme to another on both sides. So I think that it would be safe to just start having more open conversations, develop a safe space of communication when you get married. But when you're in a relationship and you're trying to have these different conversations, I think it's a more different because you're being vulnerable, right? So let's say I do that with my boyfriend and I tell him, you know what, I love women. I really love women. I'm trusting this person that I'm not connected to, that has no anchor to me and all of that, to keep my secret private. That's a lot harder than it being in your brain that this is my person. This is the person I'm going to be with forever. We build in this space. We share with each other. No, by the time you done, if you do it with every person you're in a relationship with, it might be 5 or 6 people that you've exposed this to, and then you're expecting it to stay on lock. So I think that your ability to share goes down with each bad interaction versus being with a committed partner. Even if you're just living together, when married is the best for me, but then living together, you guys got some things intermingled, so you built a trust that's deeper than surface level. I think that it's easier that way. I think that we definitely have to develop a way to have better communication, because I really hate seeing couples together that are dynamic on paper, dynamic in church, dynamic in the community. When it comes into the bedroom, to your point, they have fire ass sex, but fire doesn't eliminate desires. It doesn't eliminate that, okay, I might have been one way my whole life, but now that I'm with somebody that I completely and utterly trust, I did have some fantasies I want to try. Oh, I do have a fetish that I never brought up. And now you want to introduce it, and you're not as comfortable introducing it later because you built this person. And so you're scared to change the person because it might change the relationship.
I
I
mean,
don't know what could happen.
it really can't. Well, the stories are there. I know because the stories are there. If you're a
Right. It's a
man,
lot.
if you're a man and you tell your woman, look, this is how I feel,
No,
and
it is.
I say this because I don't know in my life that women do that to the same rate that men do. I would like to say that to
What do
the
you mean?
meaning coming up to their partners and telling them about something
That they
to that
desire?
to that magnitude. If it's
Oh,
okay,
no.
look, if it's like, look, you always try the missionary, I would like to try it.
Right.
The
It's not
other
extreme.
whole, it's not
Mm-mm.
extreme.
No.
Now, talking about introducing someone else, whether it's platonic, whether it's serious, whether it's consistently, whether it's from time to time, controlled environment or not, what I see a lot is, and again, I could be mistaken here. Guys usually feel as though, again, based on reactions they've gotten from the women they speak to, usually it's things like, well, am I enough? Am I not enough?
Of
What
course,
am I?
that's what we're
What am
going to
I?
think. Yeah.
Doing? Yeah, am I doing it right? What is it you need? And
Hmm.
then now, your intention of wanting to be open and honest about what you feel inside as a man, unfortunately, is landing on someone's mind, and the inception of things, she's thinking, well, maybe it's something I'm not doing. That's how they usually internalize it. Well, most people don't come back from that, because you can overcome it and say, well, okay, from that point on, then we start to build and learn and grow and so on and so forth. But most people don't come back from that, because once you open that Pandora's box, there are a lot of people who are not able to put that stuff back in, because now she's thinking, what is he doing when I'm not there?
Right.
Now I'm not enough, and so on and so forth. And I've been in those shoes where you try to tell somebody that it's not like that, but there's nothing you can say to them that they are not already saying to themselves,
right,
about what you may or may not be doing. And at that point, it's just not good. It's just not. So you take a lesson like that, and what you realize is that, sometimes some fantasies are not meant to be had. Not everybody's going to have the luxury or the opportunity to do it. Look, I wanted to be an astronaut. A fantasy of mine. It never happened.
That part.
Okay, I mean, it never happened for me. Life doesn't end. I get to move on and do other things. So you have to take it like that. If it was a fantasy of yours that you wanted to have, if you didn't have it before getting married, now you're married. Now whoever you're with is not going to give it to you. At that point, you just have to understand that maybe it wasn't in the deck of cards for you to have it.
So that, and then, because, right, you could explain it all the right way, she could receive it the right way, but it's just not something that she's into. I think that so two things need to happen. One, again, I still believe that there needs to be more open communication, and I believe that there needs to be like a soft launch into things. Like, don't jump straight from A to Z. Like, go in between. Example, if the person that you with loves porn, start to show porn and do the things that you like and see how they react. Do different things to see if it will work. Because what I can tell you is that from my friend groups, from the research that I did, most responses were like the one that was given. But most responses were like that because it didn't jump from one to another. Number two, when you present these things, you should be in a good space. Don't present them when you're not in the best space. Or oftentimes I can say that my experience has been when it's something that I'm bringing to the table to talk about, and the reverse is, well, you don't even do this. The fuck does that have to do with the conversation? If I'm talking about this and we're not staying on target, are you telling me that you're not doing the things that you should be doing, regular things, because I'm not acting like your wife? I'm not your wife, and I'm not going to. I made that clear from the beginning. So pushing somebody into doing something that they don't want to do, and then categorizing it as, well, when I'm with women, they don't do the things I want them to do. First of all, the problem is that you're with women. You have to be with the one that you're with. Not every woman is going to do all of these things, but if that's what you want at this point in time, it's all kind of groups, it's all kind of one night stand connections and all of those things. We have to be more willing to think the way that you think. That's kind of how I think, because I'm aware that my husband, my partner, hell, Jesus don't give you everything you ask for. So how are you expecting a person to give you everything you ask for? What makes you so important and so special that you should get everything you ask for? But if you warm the person up and present it in a way, never unless, and this is rare, if it's a possibility to save the relationship. Exactly. That men, so I think that, and this is what frustrates the shit out of me. Men get in their zone. I deal with all alpha males, so that's why I could say it irritates the shit out of me. They get in their zone of what they want, but then they want the Miss Asian of me. My brains turn them on, how I carry myself, all of these things, right? So you automatically just mentally put me in a box that if I wanted to be a freak and slide down a pole, I bet not do it, because you have me in this perception. This is how you introduce me and everything. And then when I don't move outside of that box because I'm following you, then it's, well, why don't you ever try anything? Try anything like what? Ask me, and let's make a list. Ask me, send me a note. I even have one. Send me a note. You might not be able to tell me, but just write down all your fantasies, every single one you have. And of those things, I'm gonna go down the list and surprise you. The response was,
uh-huh.
well, I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. First of all, my brain don't work like yours. So what if I never think of that thing that you want, but if you bring it up, I'm like, that sounds dope as fuck. Let's try it. I don't like it that men don't bring things to the table and then expect the table to be filled. That's not fair. Communication needs to happen. And in this lifestyle environment, that's what I really love is that so I've been to I think it was a swingers club, the one in Arizona. I really like being able to go because you could go and see different things I never even thought of before. And it gave me an idea of other things to try. I didn't do those type of things before I got married because I was saving that for my husband. Those are intimate, exclusive, and safe spaces. Every woman don't just throw her pussy in her mouth around like it's no big deal. It is a big deal. Some of us still value it, whether we have premarital sex or not. And that space is not being respected enough. But I feel like the lifestyle space does because it's a permission thing. I kind of like that. That was different than the swingers club. Like a lot of people touched me at the swingers club, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I think the point I'm trying to drive here, if you can understand, the life
No,
of a
you're
man.
right. You're perfect. What you said was right. I agree.
Yeah, the life of a man. I know. I'm not sure how many men watch the show, but every man that I know, or I'm willing to bet every man has been in a situation where he has either suggested, whispered, implied, talked to a woman he's interested in, whether she was his wife or not. And the response he got was, "What kind of woman do you think I am?" That feeling, and to be told something like that is what I'm saying shuts men down from willing to speak.
And every woman has heard, well, why don't you do this? They do it. That
Okay.
shuts us
All right.
down. Now you compared us to somebody else.
Okay.
You get
All
what
right.
I'm saying? That's why I'm saying both of us need to stop. And so then what are the solutions? Because we're all going to get rejected. That's the reality. We're all going to get rejected. We're all going to get things that we don't want to hear it the way that it's said. But I think that, like, my husband, my ex, and probably 2 exes before that, if they told me certain things, what I really, really, really tried to do, and this is an emotional intelligence thing, and I suggest everybody read the book, 4 Agreements. Let me tell you why. The best one in there for me that I lean on a lot is it's not about you. The reason why that one matters so much is because, JoJo, if I'm dating you, I know that you're very alpha, you're very matter of fact, you say exactly what you want, and you don't waver. That's exactly what you mean. You're not giving hints. You just said exactly what you want. I would do exactly what you wanted without saying, well, damn, he don't really like pants. Do I look fat in pants? Is he saying I'm a man? Is he saying, I wouldn't do all of that. I would literally just take myself out of it and listen to you. And I don't think we do that enough. I think that we're so afraid to be hurt. We're so afraid to be rejected that it's almost like when certain things happen, we say, I knew that was going to happen, versus, well, tell me why you would think that. Because what if the answer is she was raped or a victim of sexual violation or something like that? That may be something that's a hard stop. And we look to men to love on, protect, and coddle us. We do. So even in that moment, that's the most vulnerable moment ever, even for the one that looks like she does a million things. She may need you to, your next statement is the one that seals the deal for her, right? So if in that next statement you say, I think you're the woman that I love, or I think you're the woman I want to explore things with, or whatever it is, right? Whatever you were really thinking, just tell her. Like, instead of taking it that way. I think if we try some different things, we can get a little bit further. And it's right. You have a right to think that, because I would. Like, damn, why would you think I would disrespect you like that? I'm just saying it because this is a desire of mine. But that intimate space includes both people. So maybe if you try something like that, women really look to men for a lot of approval, a lot of confirmation, not necessarily self-esteem, because I can have my own self-esteem, but that's separate from our relationship self-esteem, because it's built on what you like, you know, the male.
Yeah, you always want to feel like something you're doing, the other person likes what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. You are correct. I just wanted to add on to that, which is, it is my opinion. Well, perhaps we're doing this to each other, but perhaps it is my opinion that though I know a lot of men want to give that to their woman, but I know it's not going to look like what you're describing. Because if it's going to be these conversations that need to happen, and again, I'm not saying it shouldn't. Perhaps that's what needs to happen. But men, I don't know that men don't talk like that.
Do you want what you want? Do you want to stop being rejected?
You're right. I'm not making a case to say that they shouldn't. I'm saying, okay, this is where we are. You know, I don't.
It's working for so many couples. You never know who could be listening. All I'm doing is telling y'all it works.
I don't.
Not you as in y'all, like anybody that's listening.
No, I know. I guess the way I'm trying to say it is, I think that you give what or how men would approach it, you give it too much power. In my opinion, a lot of it is predicated on the mindset of the woman. In my experience, if the woman is not open and she's closed off, doesn't matter what the man, how open he is, it's never going to happen. In the video you just showed, the audio you just played, imagine the mindset that the woman will have to be in after her husband told her what he told her and confessed about the cheating. The type of woman that she is, the type of wife that she is, to then turn that around and go contact the person that her husband stepped out of the relationship with to try and have a conversation and all that good stuff. I don't know that there are too many like that.
But this is what I'm telling you, there are. The statistics show it. And they didn't turn into that. They were swingers first. They became swingers first. And then he hit her back up because they worked together. So they didn't go straight to her. But what I'm telling you is that we have to stop considering only what's around us and open up a little bit more. At the end of the day, I feel like this. I can only control what I can control and do my part. But what I can't say is, I would love to do that, but you'll reject it. It's dependent on you. And then also say, well, we're not going to do that. I mean, if you want things to change, somebody got to budge. And it has to budge, because in most cases, the male is the one who has those desires that they can't suppress. Because you are right. Women have those desires. If I could have had my perfect honeymoon, my ex would have been there. It wouldn't have just been it would have been my ex and my husband. If I could have the perfect life, I would have two men. That would be my perfect life. But that's not going to happen, because I date alpha males, number one. It's not something I desire to have in my everyday life. It's not something that I would be even capable of doing all of the functions that come with it to satisfy both men the way that they deserve to be supported. And so that's not going to work. So is that a desire that I have? It is. Is it a fetish that I have? It is. I have a whole bunch of fetishes and a whole bunch of fantasies. The way that women typically suppress them, because we suppress them every day, is we avoid situations that could lead to other things. We focus on what we love about something versus what we don't have. Whereas in my experience, in my research, most men, once they see something they don't have, they can't even focus on what they have anymore. They're only focused on this. It's like an itch. I've been hearing that word a lot with men, itch. It's an itch. Well, if you got to find another way to scratch it, because women have these desires. And not only do women have these desires, what we're seeing more in social media, what we're seeing more in statistics, is women have the ability to stand on their own feet. And so they can make boss ass decisions too. And they could say things like, you're not doing everything I want, so I'm leaving your ass too. But do we really want that at the end of the day? We want to build more families and have more healthy experiences that allow people to live their full life with their person, not to just be here, there, and everywhere. Because that's cute until you're 70, and then you sit there by yourself and you don't have nobody. It's just, we only think about today. But if everybody was that selfish, because it is selfish, where would we be? Women have plenty of desires that are not being met, but we have so many more that are being met. And that's what we focus on. That's how we can value men and call you kings and all of that. And you know yourself, it's plenty of men you could look at and you like, how is her girl calling him a king? That nigga ain't shit. But she sees the king in him. Those things outweigh. So yes, we have all of those things. We just don't fixate on them. Because to your point, I can't be Beyonce. So I'm gonna go ahead and be Kelly and be happy. Because Kelly is just as bomb. Where you place your value.
What I see a lot in life, as you said, is that when it comes to sexual interactions, women tend to disqualify, men tend to qualify. And that's how, though on the surface, it seems as though women sexually maybe don't, to the same degree, would have the desires that men have.
Mm-hmm.
On the onset of things, perhaps they do. It's just that men look to qualify and women disqualify. So by the time it's all said and done, it looks like women enjoy or desire these sexual urges less than men. But it's not that they do it less. It's just that they, like you said, they find factors and reasons to suppress it for whatever reason, when men don't find reasons to suppress it, so they just go ahead and indulge. You're right about that.
I wonder if, like, how could, I think that it needs to be built into a whole different segment on sexual desires and things like that. I think it needs to be built into marriage counseling, and not to the degree, did you go through marriage counseling before your marriage?
Before, no.
Okay. So they only touch on it like a little bit, like, don't deny your husband too long. Don't deny your wife too long. But I mean, I think it needs to get into the thick of it, because sex and finances are like really big. So I think that if like a sex therapist could talk about all the different things about sex, to at least get the couple's mind to going on the different things that are out there, how to approach them, because some things you can say like, well, I'm willing to try whatever my partner wants. But again, you don't know all that they know, what they've seen, all of those things. And then you get into the marriage and he's like, or she is like, well, you said you was down for whatever. And they like, I didn't know, like, I didn't even know that existed. What the hell? So I think that people should privy themselves to everything encompassed in lifestyle, at the very least, to look at other things and have those conversations. Because if it's some things, and I would say point out the hard stops. Like if it's things that you like, absolutely not, because that could change if you're willing to move forward with marry somebody.
Yeah, I would say that that's something that most people who get married would benefit from, to be able to do a couple of things: counseling, personality compatibility tests.
Mm-hmm.
I would say they would benefit from that. Financial advisory, I would say they'd benefit from that, and being able to have these hard conversations and so on and so forth. My fear is that most people would do that before marriage, because now we're fixated on marriage
Being
needs to
married.
have as little issues as possible. I think what that would do is it would just deter and make people not marry as much. Now, as a result, we may have marriages that stay and stand the test of time. But in terms of numbers, to me, if these conversations happen in the way you're saying they should happen, which is before people got married, most people wouldn't. My solution is it shouldn't be conversations before marriage. A lot of it should be embedded in the culture. If it's embedded in the culture, by the time people meet, then the expectations are already set. Let me give you an example. Two Christians who grew up Christian, because they already know the faith, by the time they know each other, a lot is already understood about what needs to be done, what's to be said, so that some of these conversations would not have had to happen. Walking in the situation, you kind of understand, okay, I'm a Christian, you're a Christian, so we kind of know. I was told this when I grew up. Instead of having a conversation with you, which may make the conversation hard to have, is baked into the culture where by the time I meet you, I already know what I have to do. Obviously, okay, so you gave an example earlier. You said, do not deny your husband, do not deny your wife, so on and so forth, things like that. Now, if you've never heard it before and you're hearing it in counseling 3 months, 6 months before you marry your husband, in your mind, you're like, what the hell? That's my body. If I don't want to, I don't want to.
Right.
If you've never heard it before. But if you've heard it growing up and it was baked in the culture and you kind of understood, hey, Mindy or Sophia, one day you're going to get married. And when you get your man, you have to understand that you have to, baked in the culture. I'm not saying say this when she's 8.
Oh, that's a good one.
But to some degree, some kind of understanding. Okay, so if you're a boy, you grow up and you understand, hey, look, man, when you grow up, you're gonna be head of the household one day. Don't make your wife feel this way. Don't make your wife feel that way. Do this for your wife. Don't do this for your wife. So that baked into the culture, you've heard it. That counseling may not be needed, because if you've never heard it before, now you're hearing it for the first time at counseling. To me, there's a strong chance people just, set in their ways, they're not going to do it.
I think that's excellent. I was thinking about that one night. Like, one of the things that I think was a barrier for me, a barrier and a contributor. So the barrier was I didn't have all these sexual desires because I was trained to not let my mind go that way. That way it wouldn't be hard for me to resist it. But you're right. If it was a barrier because I also wasn't taught that, but when you get married or when you love someone, you can explore your
Can
body.
do
You can do these things.
absolutely,
It's not dirty. It's not bad.
absolutely.
So yeah, so I was actually thinking about that. Like, it worked in my favor because it made me not do certain things, but then it inadvertently blocked my mind later too. So I don't even think about certain things before the last relationship, and then I got married because I didn't even let my brain go there. It wasn't a thing for me. But if we could celebrate certain things, like these type of things will make your husband happy. These type of things will make you happy. Sex isn't just for him. It's actually for you too. You make sure you enjoy yourself. Those are things that should be a normal part of language, because it's not some forbidden fruit if you are with somebody to enjoy sex. Like, it's not.
Absolutely. And obviously what we're saying is to some degree, we're not saying teach this to an 8-year-old, but
Right.
but
Maybe like
as
beginning of
life
college, high
progresses,
school.
our life progresses, you kind
Right.
of tailor it to the
Sprinkle little
age
things.
group and figure out a way to people to understand. If a girl is 12 and she comes to you and she tells you, well, first of all, to be able to be 12 years old, come to your mom and dad and say, Mom, there's this boy that at school that I really like. And your immediate reaction is to shun her, slap her, you know, do whatever the case may be, and
That's where it
beat
starts.
her
You turned
down,
her off.
and beat her down, and so on and so forth. Now, in her mind, she's thinking, well, I'm feeling these things. I'm a human being. I guess I'm
Right. Or calling her
supposed to
fast.
feel it. You're calling her fast, and you know, so on. Now she brings a new guy every 3 months. Baby girl, that's not how it works. You know, you don't
Right.
just succumb to every feeling. There has to be a way where we can have the conversation baked in the culture where people understand it is okay. You know, it is okay. Okay, do you like this boy? Okay, do you want to kiss him? Well, you know, it's normal to feel that like that. Is he a good boy? Is he a good man? Does he have good grades? How does he treat you? Does he treat you nice? Is he what he gives you or how he makes you feel? Is he making you feel every other girl the same way? Maybe that's not a guy you want to be with. You kind of want to be a guy who's giving it those things to you and only to you, so that you can feel special and you can return the favor instead of just
Yes.
just
Have some more
beating her down,
conversations.
smacking her, and now she's a
Yeah.
little more comfortable. What that does, it sets the tone that when there's something that doesn't go right for her in the world, there's a safe place for her to come home where she can actually speak to someone who has gone through. Now, the reason why it doesn't happen is because I think I understand. We're asking
Scared.
the generation. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think we're asking the generation of parents to do that for children, but these parents never had the training, never had the understanding, never were able to. That's not what their existence was. Their existence was not like that. So they would not, in my opinion, they just don't know. And so it would be for us now, those of us who now have this knowledge, to be able to do it differently with the people that come after us. But the ones that came before us, it was not going to happen. It's just simply because they did not have that upbringing. That was not going to happen.
I think that would be great. I think that would be good. And also on the reverse, so everything that we do, I think that what we've also done in the past is what we do on one side, we don't do on the other, to your point. So we need to have that conversation on the other side too. That way that they know they can safely express, men, no, little boys coming up, they can safely express how they feel as well, and that they'll receive a proper response. It might not be a yes, but you'll receive a response that does not make you feel stupid or rejected or any of those things. And no, it's not rejection. No, is that person's right. You know, it might not be this, but it might be 12 other things. I think that that would be good to do, and then build out, you know, in my nonprofit program, it is directed towards high school students. And I have very candid conversations with the students. Of course, I just had one of my
That's
mentees
where it starts.
reach
All
out
the
to me.
all the hormones. That's when it starts. The teenage years.
She literally just hit me up before we came on the show. We had a conversation, but she's been under me for 4 years. She was the first one I actually had. But I go in and have an initial conversation with the parents and let them know whatever this child asks me, I'm going to reply in a way that is conducive. It's not putting them down. It's not making them feel like they can't open up. So I already set that expectation when you come into my program. But I think that it would be nice to build out even a special space within that program of what it looks like for a freshman, a sophomore, a junior high school, those type of things, because those are very formative years. And a good time to catch them again is not too late at that point to still build what you're saying into them, even through college. I actually don't think it's late for anybody, because if it wasn't late for me, then it's not late for anybody. I wasn't taught that sex was horrible or anything like that. I was just taught it was certain things that you just didn't do. And if those things were even asked of you, that man didn't respect you. So those things are built into us. I took that out of me because I am always on a quest to be a better person, to live my best life. And then I realized some of those things that was on certain lists in every category, even finances, like everything. Because the people above us are trying to safeguard us. They're trying to protect us. So they feel like in doing these things, this is what will protect this person, their image and all of that. that's what makes it so hard when it's something that you want. If you see it on that list, if you're not also taught, but if. So I have an amazing mom and support system because, but if these things happen, just come talk to me about it. That's where the piece is different. So I'm okay with trying whatever I want in any realm, but I have my own hard stops and those need to be respected. And so that also means I have to accept if I ask for something and the answer to me is no. And then there are certain things I just wouldn't ask because I know what the male ego is like. And it's just not that important to me. The person is more important than the experience, if you will. It's just not that important to me. I rather not. It's not that serious.
That's right. That's right. And again, from the male side, you find a girl like Asia who talks and thinks the way she does. I think it's important for a woman who talks and thinks like you to be with a man who's reasonable. I don't know that there are a lot of men out there that are the kind of reasonable that they need
They're
to be.
not.
Yeah, and I think you would have to be a reasonable man. If you are with somebody who is absolutely not reasonable, what will happen is you will be the one making the concessions more often than not, and basically you're the one giving. He takes, and he's not going to be able to give you back as much. Maybe you can compromise in some way where you're giving him apples, he's giving you oranges in return. If you're fine with oranges, that's fine. But I think there are a lot of guys out there who, for reasons that I don't know and I don't understand, you have a good woman, be reasonable. Just be reasonable. What's wrong with letting her have her way once or twice? If she's willing to, like what Asia is doing, she's willing to sacrifice and willing to not go down certain roads just because of your male ego, so you can be the king of the castle and so on and so forth. I think it'll be very, very unfair to have a woman like that and not willing to at least give in a little bit, just a little bit, just giving a little bit, because if she's a good woman and she's letting you do all those things, any other woman would not. I know my life, most of the girls that I've been with, again, first you need to overcome the fear of being honest and speaking up and being free. And then when you do, the rejection and how they reject you, what kind of woman do you think I am, and this and that, and you just kind of shut down. So you're with a woman who's willing to have these conversations with you. And then there are some women who they'll do this with you before marriage. After marriage, they're shutting all that shit down. This is done. We're not doing that stuff no more. We enjoyed it before we were married. After marriage, we're done. I guess because to them, marriage has
they already did it.
Marriage has an added level of sacredness.
Yes.
And all the other stuff that goes into it. So
yeah,
we've done it before. I do, but you dealing with a woman who's even willing to entertain it inside of marriage. I think there are a lot of guys who stand to be a little bit more reasonable dealing with a woman. Like, in my opinion, I don't think there are enough out there who are willing to be reasonable.
Ooh, well, on that note, the final question for tonight: are you an exhibitionist?
Yes, I am.
You are. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll leave that cliffhanger. On the next show, you'll tell us about one of your experiences.
San Diego, Black Beach. Yeah.
Shut up. Okay, yes, so that is the cliffhanger. You guys have to watch the next show to find out. And am I an exhibitionist? Can I deal with being watched? Can I have sex in public? Yes, I can. Can I deal with being watched? Well, if you know me in my regular life, you know that I was a whole cheerleader and damn near passed out every time before I went out to perform. So if you don't tell me you're watching, that's different. Kind of like the lady in the clip that was played. So she knew that there was people watching. It was like a little crack in the curtains or whatever so that they could watch. And she had her husband telling her that people was watching. So somehow the mystery of it all like enticed her. So she was super excited, but she wasn't facing that way. He was, because he liked seeing it head on. And then he communicated that to her. So she essentially was getting the energy through her husband. Could I do something like that? I could,
Feedback.
because
Feedback.
you still feel safe, right? Everybody has something different and they might just need it a different way. So could I go to one of those things and do something like that? I could. Could I give my husband a lap dance with no panties on in a club and we have sex that way? I could. Sex in a car? I could. Sex on a beach? I could. Hell, I could have sex in a church if I'm married. Yes, I could. But just to know like everybody's literally watching you, I couldn't, because I don't have that trust. And like, I just feel like you start to focus more on the actual act, because women, with men, it's not as mental as with women. With us, it is. I like to stay into my partner. I only want to see my partner. I only want to feel my partner. Even with music, music could be playing. I won't hear any of the words. I'll only hear the music. So I'm very sensual in that way. So could I do it? Yes, I could be an exhibitionist, but I would be a classy exhibitionist. So that is it for tonight. Join us on next week's show, where we are going to open with JoJo sharing his story. We are. We're going to make him wait. And then
I'm not coming next week.
Yes, he is. And I'm going to pay him. I'm going to pay him to tell that story. Both of our special guests got held up. So if they pay me and get off punishment, then they can come to the next show, because both of them love this area. So I know that they got stuck. Again, this is like coming to my house. If something happens, it happens. But you're going to love Vanessa. Vanessa and Baambii were supposed to show up tonight, and something happened. So we will have them on next week's show, where we will dive into exhibition and them sharing direct stories. And then I may or may not have a story to share. What do y'all think? Tell me in the comments if you think I actually have a story to share. So, JoJo, you want to send us off and give your contact information?
Yeah, everybody, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Follow the page. Anyone want to get at me? It's a One-Su Noble Lifestyle for all your cigar needs. Check me out Saturday, August 19. Share my production. It's going to be in LA. My information is going to be on Instagram.
Okay, so we will see you on Saturday. The last event was bomb. Let me tell you, I even reached out to that location to see if we can do the adult prom there next year. So, newsflash, we will be having our adult prom next year for my nonprofit. And if I could get this location, it would be dope, because it's an outside, inside area. And then it's also nice to support Black. I support all, but it's nice to support Black and somewhere local. I don't want to drive to LA. So this will be amazing. So, JoJo, I will let you know if I book it. That way you know that we'll be booking you as well. And I drop the cigars off to my uncle tomorrow. So we will let you know how they are. So everybody have a good night, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.